Jason Wygant, James Stewart here. We bring back Dr. Joe McGinley with our SMX medical update. And tell us what's happening. We've seen collarbone injuries recently. Joe Shimoda went down at Unadilla. But James and I we were not supposed to speculate. As soon as we saw him go down, we're like, it might be a collarbone, because in motocross, unfortunately, it's kind of common.
Yes. Yeah, the two most common injuries we've seen all summer have been collarbone or clavicle fractures. Joe Shimoda went out recently. I'm not sure of the status of him on his comeback. One of the other ones we are excited to see coming back here soon is going to be Nate Thrasher. So with a collarbone fracture, typically that's when you're falling with your arm out. You have your arm straight out. It impacts the ground, and then you end up breaking that bone, that collarbone right at the top. Depending on how long you have that, it could be a few weeks to a few months till you come back. This is actually Nate Thrasher's X-ray. Said we can use it here for this.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. Those are plates that are actually bent. So that's what's been taking a while for the recovery on that. He had a few issues with that, but he is excited. I spoke to him about a week or so ago. He's going to be back for that SMX round 1. Excited to go. I'm going to be watching him closely, getting back out there. He's chomping at the bit.
So when you're looking at this collarbone, because I broke mine, and you think, all right, you put a plate in it, you can go riding. I was able to do push-ups, a day after I actually had collarbone surgery, but I had to wait for a few weeks. So what is the timeline once you do have the plate? What are you waiting for? Is it the screws or something going on? What are you waiting?
Yeah, physically you have that plate in there, which is holding those bone pieces together, but you want that fracture to heal, so the bone still has to heal. There's no getting around that from the healing standpoint, and it takes a few weeks for that to become solid. On that X-ray, he actually bent both of those plates, so that bone wasn't healed. He had an underlying issue there that he had to get dealt with, but that bone didn't heal completely, and then when he crashed, those plates actually bent, so pretty impressive injury.
So that's one of the if you get back too early, that's a possibility of something like that happening.
It is a risk of that for sure. If you come back too early, everyone talked about Cody Schock coming back quickly. If he would have crashed, that probably would have complicated issues there, because you have a wound that's not healed. You can get an infection. You can get that collarbone taking quite a bit longer to heal. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and now he's a legend because of that.
Yes,
but,
took the chance. Okay, so the collarbone, a typical motocross injury. But in 2024, the typical injury now is the thumb. We've had multiple riders go down with thumb injuries. We're waiting to see if Jet Lawrence can make his way back. So highlight that type of injury and recovery.
Yeah, that was the second most common we saw all summer, multiple thumb injuries, essentially falling with the thumb out, and then you stretch that ligament on the inside of the thumb, the ligament tears, and then you essentially have an unstable joint on the inside of the thumb. So you can imagine if that's your throttle hand, it's going to be hard to hold on to that bike heading down the whoops, and your thumb joint's not stable. So depending on the type of injury, we had different types of injuries from the different riders. Some required surgery, some didn't. Some had different types of injuries there, and we're seeing them all start to come back. But there's a little rust when you're first coming back. It takes a little bit to get back on the bike. We're expecting all of them to be back and competitive here for the SMX series.
Boy, keeping everybody busy. Always good to have you with us, Dr. Joe. And congrats to your guy, Avery Long, who we were hanging out with a minute ago, second in that second moto of the Combine. And maybe we'll see you at the playoffs. We're going to wrap up Race Day Live here. Get some final thoughts from our reporters first. Katie, what are you thinking?